Hello class, this is Festival Walk. Here you're going to go over some of the basic tools and some basic techniques you're going to need to use in your first assignment. We're going to go over some basic concepts, and we're going to go over some things that you're going to need to use. So the first thing we need to talk about is layers, and layers is down in the corner right here. You'll see channels, path adjustments. Right now, layers is the big one that we want. This tab we want. Don't worry about the other ones. We'll go over that in due time. But basically, this is your layers, and we can actually make this bigger because you're gonna have multiple layers. Again, these are tabs you can you can remove tabs, you can move tabs around. Right now, we're not gonna play with anything except make that one move. The one thing you're going to see when you open a file for the first time is this background layer in this lock tab, and that's just a convention in Photoshop, and it makes makes things harder to work with out of the box. So the first thing you do to remove that, just double click on it right there, and it'll bring up this new layer box right here. And whatever we can call it source, whatever you want. Ideally, you do want to name your layers. Don't worry about color or mode or opacity right now. And for the most part, you're not going to play with those settings. You're just going to give it a name or just call it layer 1 and 0 and just click OK. And now this has become a regular layer in Photoshop, any other type of layer. And that's kind of what you want. And I'm going to just go over, there's basically a couple buttons that we need to go over. Is we can add a layer. There's the plus button right here. So it's added. And you see this checkerboard, that's going to indicate that there's nothing there. It's a complete transparency. That's what that checkerboard, if you look right here, this checkerboard, that's what that means. We can delete a layer. There's the trash can for deleting the layer. And it will ask, do you want, and you can click don't show again. For our purposes, I'm not going to click on that, but if you get it, later on want to, you can turn this off. And I'm just going to delete the layer. And then the last thing I do is I'm going to click, there's a group button, so this folder. And that's going to make a folder which you can organize things. So I can put in there, and what's useful about, I can collapse the group. And that's the big thing. If you've got a piece and element, several pieces that make up an element, make it a group. And that's just basically structural. The big thing about groups is that essentially here's this layer. I'm going to make a new layer, and so on here, I'm just going to use the brush tool, and B is the brush tool. And there's a couple, and now here's the brush tool right here, and B is the hotkey. If you right-click on it, there'll be a couple different brush tool, pencil tool, color replacement tool, mixer brush tool. You're going to be using brush and pencil for the most part. I'm just going to just go to the brush. The difference between brush and pencil: pencil is per pixel. It's and brush is has a nicer edge around it. If you hit tab, no, that's not what I want. Yeah, here we go. It's control. So control caps lock. If you put on caps lock, it's going to go to a cursor. If you bring that out, it's going to go to the gizmo. And then the left and right, the left hard braces. So these are the two keys next to the letter P. Left one will bring it down. Right one will bring it up. And I'm just going to you can see right here, draw, and I'm drawing a yellow color. And then the I is for a color picking tool, so I can pick color from within the image and go to a red down here. I go to this other layer, and I'm going to do it back to the brush tool, and I'm going to paint it in over here. You can see that I'm painting over everything. Now, this is what's great about layers. I did the orange on layer 1 and the red on layer 2, and I can change the order of the layers. So if I want the orange above the red, there we go. I just moved the layer above it. So think of what this is. Think of as the stack of papers, essentially. So this is at the bottom of and everything will be, and anything that the layer above it will be drawn above it. So that's why the red and then the orange. So if I go, and I can go back and forth between now the red's over the orange. So these are some basic pieces with layers that you should be aware about. There'll be ways to get into what is normal, the opacity, the fill. These other tools we'll come talk about another time. But right now we're just basically, hey, we're building layers, and this is actually the most important feature of Photoshop. It's the most powerful, makes Photoshop the most makes it so powerful. And again, like we go to something like GIMP. GIMP has something similar to it. GIMP does a few other things that are a bit odd. So we'll leave that right now. I'm just going to close this group, and I can hide these layers as well. So, and I can actually go to the group. I can delete the whole group, and I'm going to delete the group and contents. So I'm going to get back to here. Let's talk about some of the selection tools. So selection tools. First one is the marquee tool. And this is basically a rectangular marquee and an elliptical marquee. So basically, can I draw some sort of rectangle? Up here, there are tools, style. Don't worry about feather right now. But there's different styles. You can draw a fixed ratio, so it is always a nice perfect square. Is it a fixed size? So here it is 64 by 64 pixels. So there are different tools here. I'll go back to normal again, and I'm going to use Control D to deselect. So that's one of the first tools. Control A, we'll see the whole image has been selected. Control D, I'm going to deselect. I can go and I'll go back to normal again. There we go. And so here I've selected this piece. I'm going to use Control Shift I, and you can see that I've inverted the selection. So now everything but this is being selected. And we know that because we've got this outline right here. So from here to here is a selection. We're going to do that one more time, Control Shift I. And that's going to bring it back to that. All right, a couple ways we can now move this into a new layer. We can cut and paste, Control X, Control V, and now we've brought that in as its own layer. We can, if I go back, we can right click here, and you can make a layer via copy or layer via cut. And I'm going to do via cut because I'm actually going to cut everything out of this image. And so now we've got a new layer in place. Now above it. I'm going to turn that off. You can see, and I'm just going to go. Another is the elliptical tool, and I'm actually going to use it right here. And you can see that I'm going to select that, and then basically it's an elliptical or a circle type tool. And again, I'm going to cut and paste, and I have this layer selected, so that area is empty. So just basically you were on the wrong layer. So I'm just going to cut and paste, and there it is. Let's talk about the next tool down, the lasso tool. And this is basically be like, hey, I'm going to go and draw with this tool. And as much as I like this tool, and I'm going to make a layer via cut. And again, I'm on the wrong layer. Make the layer cut, and now I've got the lettuce. As much as I like the lasso tool, the polygonal lasso tool is actually usually more useful. And this is basically you can go, you just making click, 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 and you're making lines essentially. What's nice about this, you can be more you can be a little more precise. I'm going to go across like that, and I'm going to quickly get to it. And when you get back to the point you started with, it makes the selection. Again, I'm going to make this layer via cut. Again, I was on the wrong layer. So we layer via cut, and again. And I'm going to go in and clean these up a little bit. The next one we're going to do is the magic wand tool. And basically it is, I'm going to deselect, select the correct layer. And it's basically here I can select pieces of and I've selected pieces of the carrot. I'm going to go and use Shift, and I can get most of the carrot. So I've held down Shift and I've added to the selection. That's how I got this. And now that I've done that, I can go new layer via cut. And I can use the magic wand. There is another one. There is a quick selection tool. So that is hold down and move your cursor about, and that basically selected all of that tomato pretty quickly. Make a new layer via cut, and I'll do the same thing. Yeah. You see, I went around there, selected everything. So these are your basic selection tools in a nutshell. Not necessarily these are always your best. Like I'm showing you all of these tools, how to make different selections. Again, when you have a selection, that is the only thing that Photoshop is concerned about. So, for example, I can now, and I don't have to, I can make a new layer, and I'm going to go in, and I'm going to go and bring up the brush tool. I'm going to make the brush tool really big. You can see that now I've gone, and the only area that I selected basically is where the brush tool was able to did any work. And in the result, I now have this deselect. I have basically this oval that basically effectively is that the area that I had selected. I'm just going to go over again. Couple things that you'll want to be concerned about. I is the eyedropper tool. G is your fill tool. So here's your paintbrush. You hold that down. The gradient tool here as well. Text tool is down here. T. You'll click, drag. Now with Photoshop, what they're doing right now is they're actually giving you some basic text. Now my text right now is white. Let's start with a black background. So we'll just click. So I made the text black. All right, so let's actually just make a new layer. And let's make and I've got my colors are right here, black and white. Foreground, background colors effectively. You can switch them by clicking this. You can double click on here to select a different color. Use only web colors. This is all the colors you can basically pick. Web colors basically reduces the number of colors, and it makes it more manageable ultimately. I'll be honest with you, it makes life more easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click OK. I'm going to go switch and make sure I'm using a white right up here. Yeah, that is white. And I'm going to go use the paint bucket tool. I'm going to press that, and now I've got everything white. Now again, my text is below. I'm going to bring it above it. So now here is some basic generic text. That's not what I want. Here we go. If I select on the current text, you can then go in and edit it. So this is, again, I want to say hello world. And right now I've got Times New Roman in italic. I'll put that to regular. Size right now was 18. That was the last time I had done something. But like I can go 12. I can go 32. And then type 32 up here. And that's the size. And then it can be basically, basically how it's being rendered right now. I'd like it to be sharp. You can be crisp. There's one for strong, one for smooth, Windows LCD, Windows. But typically sharp is sharp, or crisp is what you want to be using. Again, you can change the font. There is here impact, Arial. If you want to be, there is again Franklin. I'm trying to think some. Georgia is over here. Again, impact, which is your common. A lot of your fonts for memes are going to be impact. Of course, there is Courier New, and then. Oh my God, please do not use Comic Sans. So back to Times New Roman. There is your rectangle tool. So this is the draws rectangles and other shapes. So this is a shape. So this is something different from your normal layer. So we'll talk about that again another time as we move forward. I'm trying to think anything else we need to go over. The last one I'm going to talk about is the eraser tool. That's E. And there's different erasers, but the basic, like, is it a pencil? Is it a brush? I'm going to use the brush version of it, and I'm going to make it bigger. And I'm going to make the, so here it is. Here we go. So you can see that it's erasing based on that. Now, this is destructive editing. We will talk about non-destructive editing in another lab. So this is just so you know. There's some other tools. There is the, the blur tool, sharpen tool, smudge tool. Have fun with those. Dodge tool, burn tool, smudge tool. These are playing with images itself. Have fun playing with those tools. You'll typically might use the blur tool to basically, blur the edge of something. Smudge, have fun. Let me see, bring up something that we can smudge so we can. You can see right there, I've just smudged that using the smudge tool, a lot of small smudges in a row. I've just blown out this edge of the pepper here. Just making sure I've done the move tool. Basically, this is basically moving around. There's a lot. Photoshop in this has like ways that will help you around with things that are on your screen. There is under view. You can show layer edges. You can do a grid. Trying to think where else. Here, rulers. There you go. You can see the size of it in terms of your rulers. So this is basically 0, 0. These are all pixel dimensions. So you can hide that. Control R. Again, right now, the last one is that if you want to zoom in and out on the canvas, like right now, this is actually what it actually looks. Actual pixel size, and you can see that the smudge, glowy mess, and that's one of the things that's obvious. So this is, you can go into, again, I'm going to go 200. I can get in. You can actually get like at the pixel level, 1600 is usually what you'll go, and you'll see these are the individual pixels, each of these squares. Go back to 25. So you can jump around size right here, and this is the dimension of the canvas right now. It's very big at 300 pixel per inch, and that's if we go to image again, image size. We can see right now. Basically, this is the width, this is the height, and resolution. Right now, it's in pixels per inch. The two numbers that you'll see under resolution, 300 is very high-end magazine resolution, and then there's 72, which is basically screen inch resolution. All right, I'm gonna click cancel. I don't want to change this right now, but this is again like bits and pieces. And again, as you go on, you will pick up bits and pieces as you play with Photoshop, and that's basically where you need to be. It's just have fun, play with Photoshop, enjoy what's going on. Yeah, that should be everything you need to know to do the assignment. This first part of the assignment where you're selecting and you're removing things. Again, do go in. I mean, let's go into 100. I mean, it's okay. Use the eraser tool to go in and be like, yeah, I'm gonna. And multiple clicks are better than one click. And again, Control Z, undo. I took too much right there. If you want to, go in and zoom in, zoom in, and again, the hand tool right now is to help you if you want to move around the canvas. Again, I'm going to go back to my eraser tool. I'm going to bring it down, and I can go in. You can see I just go in. Again, as I went in, I brought down the brush size just a little bit. One thing that we do is when you make these things and you got like an outline like this, these white spots end up looking like halo. Basically, your object has a halo. So try not to make halo effects. And finally, when you want to save it, just do File, Save As. So this is going to save the file as, I'm going to go do Lab01 part A for the file. And it's going to ask about Photoshop, maximize compatibility. Cool. And then the other one is save as a copy. So this is save as a Photoshop file. This save as anything else. So for our purposes, we're going to go to a PNG. And this is going to be, I'm going to take out the copy on this. And there's options for PNGs. You'll see one for a target and see another one individually for a JPEG as well. We'll click OK, and then that will generate the file. And so again, for part one, make sure you do give me your Photoshop file, and a JPEG file. All right, I think that's everything that you need to know. I think the one weird one, before we go, let's go back out to 100. And we're just going to affect the pepper. When you want to invert something, use Control-I. If you want to invert, again, the inversion of a selection is Control-Shift-I. So if I select that, I do Control-Shift-I. I've now selected the invert. What I didn't have selected is now selected. What I had selected is now not selected. So again, Control-D to deselect. I'm going to drop a file with, there'll be a page with all the common hotkeys that I use and things you should know. Again, Photoshop is good about telling you about the tools now in this edition. So that should help as well. I'm going to save everything and I'll close. And this should be everything you know to get that part A done. Good luck, everyone. Have fun.